and employees. Like you, that partner will see the big picture, and together you will achieve something truly remarkable. That's LightPath.
334427.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, a high-profile trial winding down right now in Florida, with the prosecution set to call its final rebuttal witnesses in the manslaughter case against Karen Kelly. She's accused of fatally shooting her boyfriend at issue, whose hand was on the trigger when that gun went off. Although Kelly did not take the stand, her defense team scored some points before it rested from testimony that the boyfriend had threatened to kill himself before. Joining us now with some thoughts on all this, John Manuelian, criminal defense attorney, and along with Dan Schorr, who is former prosecutor. Manuelian, excuse me for saying it. Now I've got it right. Okay. Gentlemen, welcome. Great to have you here. Let's talk for a moment about the fact that the defense managed to score some points with the fact that it was introduced that her boyfriend had tried to kill himself before. Dan, what do you think about that?
You know, it's certainly a relevant fact and it should have been admitted, but it was a long time ago, and I don't think it will undermine the problem the defense has, which is that this defendant has given multiple versions of events, from saying it was an accident to saying she shot him in self-defense to now implying that the defendant shot himself. And this evidence from several years ago that he threatened to kill himself, that's really not going to solve her problem, but it is something the defense can use to argue their point to the jury.
They're arguing that there was, a struggle, and that the gun accidentally did not go. She did not, pull the trigger. That the gun accidentally went off where he killed himself. Dan, what do you think about that argument all along throughout this case?
Well, it's a fine argument, but when she called 911 originally, she said different versions, even in that 911 call, from saying it was an accident when they were struggling over it to saying that it was self-defense. They're also implying that he shot himself. So they could go with their theory of the case, but they still have all these other theories that are out there that she's asserted, and that's going to be a problem for her credibility.
John, what are your thoughts on this? The fact that the defense is seeing this as something that is a positive, given a very tough situation.
Well, look, Uma, allegations and suspicions are not enough to convict anybody in America. You need beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest level of certainty required under the law, and that's what the defense should be doing. It should be putting pressure on the prosecution to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. And there are several problems in this case. The first problem is you have one medical examiner that's saying that the gun was 1 inch from the boyfriend's face, which would be more corroborating evidence that this may have been something that the boyfriend did, that he picked up the gun, that he put it against his cheek, and it corroborates that through the 2006 commitment, the voluntary commitment in which he also tried to kill himself. So again, that alone may be reasonable doubt for the jurors to hang their hat on.
John, I want you to listen to the tape that I want to call up right now of Karen when she was arrested that night, as she talks about what happened. Let's listen.
Oh, you're talking about leaving, and I said, don't leave, don't drive drunk, you're stupid if you leave, and he came back, and I go, don't drive drunk, and I said, if you come back in the house, I mean, I have a weapon, and I'm going to use it, if you're coming in my house, I don't know who it is, so I went to bed, and all of a sudden I wake up in the middle of the night, and someone's in my house.
Well, there you have it, John. How do you rate that video in and of itself, and what does it tell you about the defendant here?
It's problematic, Uma, because you have the telephone call to 911 saying that the boyfriend clearly died, in her opinion, and then when the police officers come, she asks them in that video, and I've seen the entire video, is he okay? Is he going to make it? So that's inconsistent. So there is an issue as to whether or not she's embellishing her intoxication levels. But again, she's clearly intoxicated, and it's not allegations or suspicions. I hate to go back to that, but it clearly is about reasonable doubt. Can the prosecution prove that she killed him either through a heat of passion or through some other sort of theory? And the problem is, I would say no, because there isn't enough evidence, specifically circumstantial or forensic evidence, that points to her guilt at this point.
Dan, I want to get your reaction to that video, and also the fact that Karen told the court actually, that she was simply too emotional to testify in her behalf.
Right.
Give me your thoughts about that.
That video and other prior statements from the defendant undermine the defense argument now that he shot himself, and that the prior suicide threat is relevant to him trying to kill himself now in their theory, because they've said other things in the past. As far as her not testifying, she doesn't have to testify. She has the right not to testify and be silent, but to say she didn't testify because she was too emotional, which is what her defense put forth, seems very strange, because she's on trial for manslaughter. She's going to go away to prison for a long time, and of course she's going to be emotional, but you would think that she would testify if she thought it was best in her legal interest to do so, but she doesn't have to, and she has the right to remain silent.
All right, gentlemen, we shall see what lies ahead as this trial continues, and we will get more reaction as more events unfold in this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there's a growing medical concern for our troops on this Memorial Day. The military might be relying too much on powerful psychiatric drugs. The consequences can be deadly in some cases. Part 1 of a Fox series next on this day.